Welcome to the Exit Rich podcast, where the leading authority on buying, selling, fixing, and growing companies, Michelle Seiler Tucker, is dedicated to helping you find the path to retire rich and move on to your next adventure by exiting your business for the desired dream price you deserve. Get ready to exit rich with your host, Michelle Seiler Tucker.
Welcome to another episode of Exit Rich Podcast. You know me, I'm Michelle Seiler Tucker. I've been in this industry for 26 years, and today we're going to talk about one of the biggest business collapses in modern entrepreneurial history, WeWork. At one point, WeWork was valued at $47 billion. Then it all came crashing down because of IPO, leadership, scandals, massive losses, bankruptcy. But here's the real question. Was WeWork actually a bad idea? Think about that. No, the idea was actually brilliant. The execution, leadership, structure, and business fundamentals were the real problems. And if you're a business owner doing 2 million, 10 million, or even 100 million in revenue, there are lessons here that could save your business and potentially save your exit. Because what happened to WeWork happens to entrepreneurs every single day on a much smaller scale. Let's unpack it. There's a lot of baggage here. So WeWork launched in 2010 with a very compelling concept. They have flexible office space for startups, for entrepreneurs, freelancers, and remote workers. The company exploded because they were solving a real market problem. Businesses really wanted flexibility, community, shared resources, lower overhead, and WeWork created an experience around office space. That's important. They weren't selling desks, they were selling identity, culture, and belongings. Investors loved it. Money flooded in. They got so much money. And the company expanded aggressively across the globe. By 2019, WeWork reached a valuation of nearly $47 billion. That's with the B, billion. But here's the first lesson. Growth can hide dysfunction for a very long time, especially when money is cheap. The cracks begin to show. Everything changed when WeWork prepared for its IPO. Because private investors might tolerate chaos, public markets absolutely will not. The PO filing exposed a lot, exposed massive losses, weak governance, founder excess, unsustainable financial structure, huge long-term liabilities, no clear path to profitability, and investors panicked. The valuation collapsed almost overnight. This is where entrepreneurs need to really pay close attention. Revenue does not equal value, my friends. It doesn't even always equal profit. Let me say that again. Revenue does not equal enterprise value. You can grow top-line revenue while simultaneously destroying the foundation of your business. That's exactly what happened to WeWork. They had a huge founder dependency problem. Let's talk about the biggest issue, founder dependency. WeWork became Adam Neumann, and that is dangerous. The company revolves around his personality, his vision, his decisions, his spending, his leadership style. The business was not institutionalized. It was personalized. And buyers do not buy personalities. They buy systems. They buy predictability. They buy transferable value. One of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make is building a business around themselves instead of building a business that works without them. Tony Robbins did this. Tony Robbins cannot sell Tony Robbins because he's one of the biggest personalities in the world. He did an ESOP and so to his employees. It's also the reason why 8 out of 10 businesses will never sell, because the owner is the business. And when the owner becomes unstable, distracted, burned out, or unpredictable, the valuation collapses. That exactly is what happened here with WeWork. Governance disaster. Now let's talk about the board, because a bad CEO is dangerous, But a bad CEO with no accountability, that's catastrophic. The board failed to challenge leadership. They allowed excessive spending, reckless expansion, weak financial controls, conflicts of interest, poor strategic discipline. The board became passive instead of protective. A strong board asks difficult questions. I've been on many boards. A strong board challenges assumptions. A strong board really protects the long-term value of the company. WeWork lacked independent oversight. And when there's no accountability at the top, problems multiply quickly. This is why governance matters, even in privately held companies, especially in privately held companies. Now let's talk about the business model itself. WeWork really had a business model problem. WeWork signed long-term leases around the world, but rented office space short-term. You can see a huge conflict right there. That mismatch created enormous risk. Their obligations were fixed. They have fixed expenses, but their revenue was variable. So when market conditions changed, the structure became extremely fragile. Here's the lesson: scale amplifies weaknesses. If your business model is flawed, at a small level, scaling faster only magnifies the problem. A lot of entrepreneurs think, if I just grow bigger, my problems will disappear. No, bigger businesses magnifies operational flaws. Bigger business, bigger problems. You cannot scale chaos. It's impossible to scale chaos. Let's talk about the Seiler 6P breakdown. Let's break WeWork down using the Seiler-Tucker 6Ps that we discuss in my book, Exit Rich. We have a people problem. People failures. The company depended too heavily on one founder. No leadership depth, no accountability, weak governance. Product actually was very strong. The market clearly wanted flexible workspace solutions. The idea itself worked. The idea itself was brilliant, but processes were weak. Operational systems and controls did not measure fast enough to support growth. Let's talk about proprietary. The branding became bigger than operational reality. WeWork started presenting itself as a technology company, a movement, a transformational platform, a cultural revolution. But underneath it all, it was just still fundamentally a real estate leasing business with enormous fixed cost. It did not align with the brand. The foundation of the company was not in alignment with the brand. That disconnect really created huge credibility gap. Investors eventually realized, wait a minute, this isn't a scalable tech company with software margins. It was a capital-intensive real estate business trying to command Silicon Valley valuations. That's not purely a branding issue. That's a positioning and valuation issue. Patrons. WeWork had an idea client issue, but not in the way most businesses do. Instead of the issue being who is our customer, their issue was that their customer did not match the financial model. A healthy ideal client aligns with profitability, aligns with scalability, aligns with operational structure, creates predictable cash flow. WeWork's early customer base aligned with growth, but not necessarily with sustainability, enterprise value. The simplest explanation, WeWork's customers wanted flexibility, but WeWork's financial structure required stability. That mismatch created ongoing pressure on profitability, predictability, and long-term sustainability. WeWork tried to market long-term leases to short-term clients, and that was one of the core problems in their business model. Long-term commercial leases with landlords often lasting 10 years, 15 years, sometimes longer. Then they turned around and rented that space to customers on a monthly membership, short-term agreements, flexible contracts, so they had long-term fixed obligations paired with short-term unpredictable revenue. This was a train wreck, a complete train wreck. That mismatch created enormous financial risk. While this was dangerous, if occupancy dropped, customers could leave quickly, but WeWork still owed landlords rent for years. That means revenue was flexible, expenses were fixed. You never want to get in that situation. That is a very dangerous structure during economic slowdowns. Remote work shifts, recession, startup funding, contradictions, and that's exactly what eventually happened. Here's the biggest profit problem WeWork had: high fixed costs with unpredictable variable revenue. That combination is dangerous. A healthy business really creates recurring revenue, predictable income, controlled expenses. WeWork did the exact opposite. You can see the train wreck. Warning signs that every entrepreneur must watch for. Here are the biggest warning signs every business owner should recognize. Warning signs number 1, growth outpacing infrastructure. Warning signs number 2, founder making all decisions. Warning signs number 3, no independent accountability. Warning signs number 4, revenue growing while profits are deteriorating. Warning sign number 5, I hope you guys write this stuff down: leadership spending excessively while fundamentals weaken. Warning sign number 6, valuation becoming more important than operational health. That last one is huge. When perception becomes more important than fundamentals, danger is coming. Danger, Will Robinson, danger, Will Robinson. Now we're going to talk about what WeWork should have done and how they could have prevented this crash. First, slow down expansion. Second, build profitability before hypergrowth. Third, strengthen governance. You need that accountability early on. Fourth, reduce founder dependency. Fifth, build systems and processes before scaling globally. 6, focus on sustainable enterprise value instead of hype-driven valuation, because sustainable business survives. Hyper-driven businesses eventually will collapse. Here's the other thing. Make sure that your expenses, your financials align with your ideal client. So if WeWork's ideal client was what? It was short-term rentals, but their financial model was long-term lease. The two of those are not in alignment. So here's the bottom line. WeWork did not fail because the idea was bad. In fact, it was a brilliant idea. It failed because of leadership, governance, and business fundamentals were weak. In fact, I would say a lot of the business fundamentals didn't even exist. And this is the lesson that every entrepreneur must understand. A scalable business is not built on charisma. It's not Tony Robbins. It's built on systems, leadership, depth, accountability, processes, profitability, transferable value built to sell. Even if you never plan to sell, and you always should, because never will always come, you should always plan your exit, because you never know what's going to happen. Businesses that are scalable, sellable, and transferable are also the healthiest businesses to own. And if you don't build that way from the beginning, you risk becoming another WeWork story. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Exit Rich. There was so much valuable content here, so many golden nuggets. Please go back and listen to this over and over again. Make sure that you're not following in WeWork's footsteps. Make sure that you have really followed all the things that they did wrong and do everything right. Build that solid foundation. Make sure your brand aligns with your financial model, and make sure you share this with your network. Please share it with your peers. Please share it with your circle of influence. Remember, I always say your network equals your net worth. And remember, don't just build a business, build a business that works without you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Exit Rich podcast. Don't forget to check out Michelle Seiler Tucker's Build to Sell Blueprint books and Exit Rich, along with more blogs, videos, and resources at exitrichpodcast.com. Be sure to connect with Michelle on Facebook or LinkedIn and stay tuned for her next episode by subscribing in your favorite podcast player.